And a very good morning into afternoon as we are, sorry, at 12:02. We are just a couple of minutes behind schedule, but not too bad for us, and mostly because we've been chit-chatting here. We've been at the table for a few minutes. Welcome to our Tuesday Uniquely Lutheran. I am Al Ernst. This is my partner and friend and mentor and pastor,
right.
Pastor of New Life Lutheran Church.
It's an honor, it is a privilege to be your friend.
Well,
and today's a day where I can be your friend and your pastor at the same time.
Absolutely.
And not that doesn't happen every day, but I think sometimes it's important to stop, pause, and reflect as to what we're here for. And we're here to comfort each other and help each other. And I'll let you do a little talking now. Do you want me to start out with a prayer?
I was going to say, and also let's make sure they know you're Pastor Jeff Gross.
And that's right. My name's Pastor Jeff Gross. That's Gross. It's not Pastor Rose. I know people they say, no, it's gross, like 12 dozen, like the German word for big. And I'm here at New Life Lutheran Church in Sarasota, and it's with you. If you would join us for a word of prayer at this time, you may be. Dearest and gracious Lord, we come before you humbly to receive not only your promises to comfort us in times of need, but your presence. We ask for nothing short of you at this moment. We thank you for your Spirit that came to us on Pentecost and continues to dwell with us. Now we pray, Lord, that your Spirit comes to us, particularly to our friend Al today, and to all people who have gone through similar experiences in their life of grieving, of loss, and in need of your healing presence and your loving care. In Jesus' holy and precious name, amen.
Amen. And I appreciate that so much and appreciate the recognition. I will let you know as we have started this show and gone on. First of all, thank you to I will, even on a week like this, I will not forget to say hello to my friends in Abu Dhabi. At some point, I am sure you are going to send me a message through Facebook or email or YouTube or somewhere to let me know that you're watching. But I am also, as you can tell, my Jester Dog hat is what I call my trucker's Jester Dog hat. And this is the one that, whether I am working in the yard or I am traveling on the road, I'm moving equipment, believe it or not, actually working out in my garage gym or at the boxing gym. A lot of times I wear my work hat. This is what I call my Jester Dog work hat.
Can you explain your logo just a little bit, Al? Just sure. Because a lot of people might not even know that.
Sure, it's really hard. We'll get a bigger picture and you can see it. But I have a dog with a Jester hat on, and that's kind of my logo, who I am and what I'm about, and what it's been a long journey to get to the word Jester Dog, and I'll tell you very, very quickly what that is all about. Being that I have been a stand-up comedian and entertainer, speaker, whatever you want to call it, for the last now 31 years, and we'll say 30 because the COVID year, I'm not counting. People want to think that what we do is really, there's a, no matter what, no matter how primitive our untechnological, which is not the right word, our untechnology program is, that is very technology, there's work. It's work. And when I hear somebody say, oh man, you got a great job because you are off basically 23 hours a day and on stage for an hour, I would just challenge you to follow my road schedule, especially when I was working pretty well half-time with Carnival Cruise Lines, flying to ships in different ports, and then the other half of the time working on the road across the country, making 9 and 10-hour drives as I just did, in going to Myrtle Beach, and a 2.5-hour drive last night to work in Bonita Springs. And then 2 days from now, I get in the car at 12 noon and do a night in Dothan, Alabama, and a night in Mobile, Alabama, and drive back. So there's a lot of work to it. Am I upset about that? Not in the least bit. But a lot of us are called road dogs, and especially truck drivers are called road dogs. And I think there's something more to what we do, because when I'm on stage, I try to make people happy and laugh and enjoy and what they are all about. And so I always think of the word jester. Jester is a way different word than joker. A joker is just kind of an offhanded guy who tells jokes. I am a guy that when you are a jester, I try to bring you some kind of very, very funny real life message. And I think if you go back and research the jesters of old, you'll find that. I am a guy who loved growing up the sports of or the semi-sport, if you want to call it, of pro wrestling, baseball and everything like that. And everybody says, well, that's because you like all those personalities. And the answer to that is yes. But all those guys had all those tough looking dogs, So my favorite characters, Junkyard Dog was the epitome of one of my favorites. But it was always, he was the tough, but I also wasn't a kitty dog, not cats, but meaning for the kids. What we do, I'm clowns and people who blow up balloon animals for kids is a wonderful thing. It needs to happen, but that's not what I do either. So I'm not that guy, but I'm also not the tough guy that's gonna attack you. But my little logo kind of gives you the middle guy, the dog that's the tough guy and the happy guy. And the reason I'm wearing all this today is in honor of something that happened personally, as we talk about life. We all have a family, and part of our family, at least part of my family in all of life, has been my pets, and really they aren't pets; they're family members. I can name you every dog and cat that I have had as a part of my family growing up, and just like any other living creatures, they have lives and they get old, and just like we do, and they have what I hope is a little bit of an advantage. And we don't want to get off into a rabbit hole of this, but I think that many people who get older would really love the idea that they could just choose to end it sometimes. And maybe they do that and we don't know it, but and I'm talking about chemically induced ending life. Pets, I believe, are our friends, our family, our people that know all of our secrets. They know everything about us. Let's face it, they are staring at us when we're naked getting out of the shower, right?
I try not to traumatize my pets that much.
I agree with you, buddy, but and not to get too graphic, but you also know you've had more than one pet stare at you when you've been doing what Mother Nature calls you to do sometimes. And we just kind of, okay, they know everything.
Yep. And they love you anyway.
And they love you anyway. They know you. They know you in your best in your best clothing, and they know you in your total nakedness, and they know you when you've had IVs in your arm and everything else. Well, about 19 and a half years ago, I was tasked with going to get a cat from our veterinarian, who's still our veterinarian now, because they did adoptions and things like that. And I should not be tasked with getting a pet, because I am a guy who, somebody says, bring home a pet, and I bring home 6 pets. And that's just me. And so I was tasked with this, and there was a family of 3 sisters, 3 kittens, and there was no way I was going to pick
They're
one.
a family. They're a family.
They are their own family. And as I was supposed to walk out the door with 1, I walked out the door with 3 in a cardboard box with a towel on it. And much to the other family member surprise at the time, she just shook her head, and we knew the 3 calicos were then suddenly a part of our family. The weirdest part about it is they did not warm to men, of which I was totally okay with. I didn't not love them any less, but it was, I think they looked at me like I was the guy on the road. I'd come in, they just start to warm up to me, and then it'll be time for me to leave. And cats have that mind, was like, oh, heck with you, and so next time you come in, it was starting all over again. But in the last couple of years, as my road schedule ended and got less, and we got into our COVID time, I really had this time to bond with our 3 now very older cats. We have Shelby and Scarlet and Savannah, and they've just been a part of our family. And unfortunately, a few months ago, kind of towards the end of last year, we lost Shelby, who was our first at 18 years old, and many procedures later. And just this morning, had to take Scarlet, and you don't play favorites, but she is everything that I want to be known for in my life. She's a scrapper. She's a fighter. She was the one we thought was not going to make it at all, because she had issues from get-go, and yet she rebounded, and she probably got in more trouble than any of those cats ever did. And it is a time that we grieve, and that is an okay place to be, because it moves our life forward. So you hear the raw emotion in my voice, but you see by what I wear and what I do, the thing that I'll never forget about her is that I always think of her as she did the tough things. She was that ornery old lady that if you told her that she would have had to go to a care center, she'd have told you to go do something that we don't say in church. And she'd say, I make it on my own. And by golly, she'd make it on her own. And I had to come straight. We made the decision this morning, and I had to come straight here from there, from the vet. And I know that it's done, and I know that it's safe and it's happy. And I know that we all think of our own situations in life. And if I ask you to do anything today, it is to really appreciate the moment. And we've heard that so many times through COVID. The problem with COVID, and it wasn't a problem, it was a blessing, but the problem is that so many people got COVID in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's hard to understand when one person barely gets any symptoms and another person is in an ICU unit on a ventilator struggling for their life, and they are that determined and they are that gritty to make it through, and then find out that they are their time has come to meet their path. And
Can I just say a few words? First of all, you're among friends. Second of all, actually gave you a gift this morning by giving you an opportunity to grieve, giving an opportunity to making himself vulnerable in a time which is very difficult. He came to be with you. And what we're saying also to those of you who have pets or who have lost pets, we do not trivialize your loss at all. And we mean this not only on a personal level, but also on a spiritual level. And I think it's important that we as the church, the people of God, understand that God didn't take it lightly either. One verse that was actually shared to me when my parents lost their beloved pet, my dad shared it with me, and it stuck with me ever since because it really put things in perspective. God knows when a sparrow falls. Matthew 10:29. God knew when Scarlett went to her final reward. And if God knows when a sparrow falls, he certainly knows when our beloved pets die. And he also knows how much it hurts. And God's certainly not one to say, oh, well. God is definitely one who takes that very seriously. And so do we. Sorry, Al, I didn't mean to.
No,
I didn't mean to disrupt or anything. It's also an important thing during a grieving time to give people the opportunity to share, give people the opportunity to speak. I'm most productive in being a pastor when I remain silent and allow our friends to talk, because I know there's just no magic words I'll be able to say that'll make that pain disappear. There's no magic words. But listening and being here, that's what I just want to do. Listen and be here.
Well, and I think you've probably in your time as a pastor have counseled through people that have gone through these situations. And I even think about not just pets but human life as it.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And it goes without saying that we grieve the people we love, obviously, absolutely. What doesn't always go without saying, Alan, it is that when one of our beloved members, who's an elderly person, whose only companion is their cat, or whose only companion is their dog, we have not always been attentive to that loss. And I think it's high time that we recognize that grieving process is very real. And we as a church should be a part of that. And I mean, here I am preaching. Sorry about that. Force of habit, I guess. Force of habit. But I just want you all to know that. We could do a whole show just on pets. Just for the fun of it. You know, as we're thinking, just for the fun of it. When you go home, you probably are home. When you're done watching this, look up animals in the Bible. Look up animals in the scripture. You will be amazed. Even in our 10 commandments, the 10th commandment, you shall not covet your neighbor's cattle. That means they're pets. That means the creatures that God put in our lives to make them better. It is the most natural relationship we have, is the relationship we have with our animals. And it's God blessed, God honored, God respected, and it's in the 10 commandments. So we can't, God does not trivialize this, and neither should we.
No, and we find humor, we find love, and that we always say that the when we were talking about this from the beginning, that our pets, they love us unconditionally.
Yes.
And they are the shining examples of really what the gospel message really was, and that was unconditional love.
Yeah.
You know, that nobody, you know, I can tell you a million stories about my different animals along the way that did things that, you know, just made me absolutely crazy. In fact, we have a puggle right now who's a rescue puggle who loves the trash can and has forced us to purchase locking trash cans, even though she is a chubby little thing that gets more kibble than she ever needs. She has this need to whatever is, even when, you know, and they talk about dogs and cats having a sense of smell. Apparently, some of the smells that we find particularly nauseating, they find particularly delightful.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I can tell you, as our producer Amy, who has been so wonderful with our pets, and I know she feels that they are part of her family as well, as she takes care of it when people are gone, or I'm traveling, or you know, Lori can't get back in time from work. She, you know, you come in and go, what happened here? You know, and the pug will look at you like, I don't know. I just happened to come by this trash can and figured knocking it over would be a wonderful thing to do. And the same way with Scarlett, when she did not want when we were not giving her kitty food choice. And by the way, you find this out, dogs, I don't know if you guys know this, you can feed a dog the same kibble every day, I think pretty much for its entire life, and they will go, we're thrilled out of our mind. But a cat, no. If one day would they gobble down one day, next day is like a petulant child that won't eat his broccoli. I mean, they have nothing to do with it. And you know, whereas we used to set the cat food in one place. If Scarlett wanted nothing to do with the cat food that she'd been eating all along, she would find a way to knock that cat food away enough so that the puggles would eat the cat food. And I knew it. I mean, you know, I know the difference. And we'd have to go through flavors of cat. I mean, I'm sure we have, you know, the stock and fancy feast is going to go down because we have gone through flavors of cat food and we run in streaks, you know, and so their palates are like our palates. I mean, maybe there's one or two foods I can tell you I could probably eat every day for the rest of my life and I never get bored with, but most foods, we have our runs, we have our taste for a food at a particular time and we eat it, we're satisfied. But now the next time around, we don't want the same food. We want something.
Did I ever tell you about the theology of the dog and the theology of the cat?
No.
Real quickly, a friend of mine shared this with me. The theology of a dog is this: he feeds me, he takes care of me, he takes me on walks, and he loves me. He must be God. The theology of the cat is he feeds me, he loves me, he takes care of me. I must be God.
Yep.
And it kind of reflects their personalities a little bit. There's definitely a difference between cats and dogs, but at the end of the day, we love them.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And that's not to say that other people don't love their other pets as much. I've met fewer, but in my travels, I've met people who have the same feeling about their birds. I mean, I know one comedian who's got a couple of pet birds that go with them on the road and travel and everything else. I mean, even down to in our area, some people, and I don't get it. They're animals, and I never want to. You'll find me as never the guy that ever wants to kill an animal. If it's a dangerous animal, I want to place it back into a place where it can thrive without it injuring other pets or places. But it is a snake. I got a couple friends that are snake people.
Sure.
And they have their snakes. Some people have fish. I do remember in my and if you want a lesson in death, just get fish, because
right.
At least the cremation process is not as expensive. It is merely a flush of the toilet, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but I've had a couple of fish in my fish era services over the toilet bowl as we flushed them on.
Oh, sure. It's a part of growing. And one of our favorite Christian saints is Saint Francis of Assisi, and Lutherans can do this too, because I've done it as a Lutheran. On the day of Saint Francis, or the first Sunday of October, or the first weekend of October, pet blessings. Have you ever done that, Al?
I have not, but I've heard of them.
And I got to tell you, if you want your endorphins to be enriched, if you really want that dopamine that comes with petting cute and adorable and sweet animals, I highly recommend this. I've seen snakes. I've seen lizards. I've seen some very adorable bearded dragons, and of course cats and dogs. And when all of these creatures come together on that first Sunday in October, when we get a chance to go out and bless those animals that belong to the people, it's a really enriching experience. It really is. And I may draw the line at spiders. I got to draw it somewhere.
There's certain situations I know, and I feel the same way. But I had the most unique experience ever, of which I am sure I somehow saw the face of God in a deer at 4:00 in the morning, driving from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, to catch a flight in Norfolk, Virginia. I was driving along in my rental car, and somehow I hit a deer. I can remember looking at its face, and I mean, I know I hit it, but it ran off, and it seemingly was unhurt. And I mean,
that's good.
By the noise of the car, I thought for sure I was going to be filing a claim, all this stuff, and the car still ran. So I said, I'll just get it to the airport and deal with it when I get there. And now you understand, this was Easter morning.
Wow.
This was Easter morning. I was flying home on the earliest flight to be back home for Easter morning. And I get back to the rental car center at the airport, and I'm getting ready to go get the guy so that they can do what they have to do to file the claim. and the car is unmarked.
Oh my goodness.
Now, you can still smell the deer in like some of its fur must have got into the engine or one of the hot areas. There, you can still smell the deer. Now, I am positive because of my startling at 4 o'clock in the morning that the deer was not hurt. The deer, there was no blood, no nothing. And ran perfectly, but it made a noise on that car where there should have been a very, very, very large dent on the passenger side of the car, and there was nothing. And if there wasn't some kind of, God's resurrection or them start, I don't know, I can't explain it, but I was so happy. I was joyous about the fact that, one, I didn't hurt an animal, and number two was it wasn't going to cost me any more money because I figured everything I had just made in that gig was going to go towards the company to do that. So as I say, honor your animals, your pets, honor your families. Know, as we've known through COVID, as we know on days like today for me, everything has a time.
Yeah.
It has a movement. Nothing stays static. And if you believe that, you're wasting and fooling your own time. So with that, let me give you what my algorithm of this week is, and let you know that Pastor Jeff is going to be in Boston
next week. Yep.
We are going to be filming another episode of Uniquely Lutheran tomorrow for next Tuesday's show, so we don't get. I
wonder if when I come back, if I'll pronounce the letter R. Go to Boston Haba. I'm going to the Haba.
And everything will be wicked.
Everything will be wicked.
Everything will be wicked.
And I'll have chowder, not chowder, chowder.
And one thing I want to point out, you can get a picture of that is one of my newest logos for algorithms. Amy and I have been working together. We got a couple of different logos for algorithms, but kind of my lightning bolt, in the words of the immortal pro wrestler Dusty Rhodes, I always say I'm living on the edge of a lightning bolt, meaning that I love the ride. And or you can think of the king Elvis and taking care of business. But our algorithms, which she did a tremendous, I just love our new logo, is authentic, which is what you saw me this morning stumbling through, equals process. And when you are authentic, and some people don't even want to be authentic to themselves.
Yeah, it's true.
You want to just deny. Authentic equals process. Process is what heals us. Let me move this a little differently so that I'm out of the way of my water glass. Authentic equals process. Everything is a process. We all know that. We've lost things in our life, and we know we take it into a process. And process, the biggest part of process equals action. We can think, we can sit around, but until we take action, we're not really processing. We're denying, we're cutting off. And if you really go through those 3 steps, then that equals life, what your real life is going to be and how it's going to go. So with that, I wish you go, if you have a pet, go hug your pet. If you have a person, go hug your person. If you have yourself, hug yourself, and know that we are with you week in and week out. And Jeff, anything as we wrap up?
No, I just want to say, what I do like the word process. Healing is not a moment. Healing is a process, and it's not something that happens just once. It's something that you're going to be going through for the next week or so, and maybe even longer. Absolutely.
Sure. I processed through still, my first dog, Carrie, that got unfortunately hit by a car on Tuttle Avenue in 1967.
Wow.
We still process all those.
Absolutely.
So, not to end us on a sad note, but on a really happy note, because that's what life is. The happiest lives are the ones that are going to have ups and downs. It's how you decide to handle those lives is whether your life is going to be that good one that we all want you to be, and we all share that news of the gospel, which means we are going to have a happy life. So,
and I like happy too, Al. And today we also gave you authentic.
we are authentic. Yeah.
You're authentic.
And we're still overtime.
All right.
Oh man, we're still overtime. I might have to go to 36 minutes instead of 33, but we did start 2 minutes late. All right. On behalf of Jeff Gross, Pastor Jeff Gross, I am Al Ernst, and you are watching Uniquely Lutheran.